Hello, everyone. Um, this might be my last video, at least at the normal kind of time period. I might have to change it because I might be going back to work in a couple days. So I'm going to do a band that I love. I think they are, they, as of just a couple of years ago, they no longer exist because their lead singer died and the main songwriter and such. Um, They are called the Smithereens. Those who are power pop fans, you might know "Behind the Wall of Sleep" is a standard and was one of their bigger radio hits, which is off their first album. The Smithereens' first proper release, I don't think is even available anywhere. The occasional track has popped up on greatest hits and outtakes and rarities type things, but their first proper one that you can find anywhere is the Beauty and Sadness EP, which is a pretty good sounding little EP. It's Beauty and Sadness, Tracy's World, or tend to be ones that are on any sort of greatest hits type things if they have anything from this. And this was 1983, I think. So good opening EP, and he said you can find this pretty easily in most places. Then came their first album, their first proper album, which is Especially for You. I'm always bewildered by the fact that bands release albums with a title of a song that is not on the album itself. The title track is not on the album that's named after it. What do I know? This is a excellent record. Is also said for power pop fans. It's one of the ones. It's the one featured in the 200 Greatest Power Pop Albums book. Has a lot of neat songs in it. Behind the Wall of Sleep, Strangers When We Meet, Blood and Roses was the other one. It was kind of a minor kind of radio hit off of this. The thing that was interesting with the Smithereens was they not only could do pop songs, they could do like Strangers When We Meet has a sort of a Beach Boys sounding harmony thing on it. There's also ones, I think it's In a Lonely Place, is kind of really jazzy and has a real kind of swing coffee shop kind of vibe to it. I said next to great power pop rock tunes. They were all over the place. White Castle Blues, the bonus track on this, is sort of a blues riff thing that sort of goes into a Bo Diddley sort of thing halfway through it. It's also produced by Don Dixon, who did he became a big producer for those REM fans. He co-produced the first REM record and stuff. Did most of the Smithereens albums. Then came 19, I believe this was 88 record, Green Thoughts. This record, I think, is on par with Especially for You. Only a Memory, House We Used to Live In, Drown in My Own Tears, Elaine, If the Sun Doesn't Shine, And it said Especially for You. The title track for the first album is on this album. Excellent record. Then came in 1990, or 89 rather, came out 11, which has A Girl Like You, which you still hear on the radio in certain stations. Blue Period, Yesterday Girl, I think, is another one. It's not, it's not necessarily as good as the first two albums, but it's still very good. It's still an excellent record. This record, they went to a different producer, and I believe the next one is as well. But it's a very good album still. The next one is called Blow Up. Came out in 1991. Had the song Top of the Pops, which I think was a minor hit in certain places. If you want the sun to shine is their Beach Boys flavored one on this, which is really has some really neat harmony stuff on it. Is a very good album as well. All of the records are great, but A Date with the Smithereens. This one is a little heavier. Is more. They went back to Don Dixon as the producer, and is a little more rock based. It's pretty, as compared to their early records, it's a much kind of harsher. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They still have some great pop tunes and melodies and stuff in them, but the the guitars are a little heavier, a little meatier and such. I'm trying to remember if there was anything on here that stood out. But it said it's a little on the harder end for them if you're a fan. God Save the Smithereens. This was their last out. This was 1999. This was their last album for almost a decade. They after this record, I believe they had a lineup change. One of the members left. I forget which one it was. I think it was the bass player, and they went into a span of doing a lot of cover albums. They did a couple of Beatles records, Beatles covers albums. They did one of Tommy in full, and I think there's another. I think they did a Christmas album in there too over the next like decade. But this is a very good album too. There's a bonus. There's a deluxe version out there of this, which has a bunch of bonus tracks and Pat D'Annunzio, the singer, his solo record that he did, which is, I believe he did mostly jazz stuff as his solo work, but still a very good record. I'm going to mention this one just because I think it's in the same. This has a lot of great stuff on it too. This was Attack of the Smithereens, which is a rarities compilation. So it has a couple of early things of that, a couple of early performances of theirs. Girls About Town, which is off their first EP that they did, which apparently the first EP was all had girls in the title, in the titles of all 4 songs, I think it was. Couple of demos, B-sides on here. There's some interesting live tracks on here. There's some very interesting things on this. Some very interesting versions of covers of great songs and stuff on here. So this is I think this is worth getting if you like their stuff. And then in 2011 they came out with 2011, which I believe is their last album. If I haven't seen anything more recent than this. They went back to Don Dixon, made a very straightforward, just solid album. I think it stands up with the rest of their catalog very well. And yeah, and I said then a couple of years ago, the band became no more, unfortunately. They were a very good band, very eclectic. They had all sorts of influences, which they did seamlessly, which to me is one of the big rarities in music, is to find a band that can do everything and do it well. The Beatles, Queen, bands of that nature did it all the time, and the Kinks. We were a big. If you're a fan of the Kinks, the Smithereens are very much in there. You can kind of see certain parallels with them. It's they are an excellent band, and I think more people should know about them. So, thank you all. I will see you again sometime in the near future.